everyone. Second to last, one more to go. No more yawning, I saw that. So, question, Steve. We're second to last. What do we have to do to get onto day one's agenda?
Pony up like everyone else, Robin.
So we're here to talk about the important topic of bringing impact to insights. As you have seen in the last few days, or last couple of days, medical is now seen as a third strategic pillar. And one of the greatest assets that medical has is the insights they bring back that can align to strategy and change and shape our molecules and brands. I often liken pharma to, or have an analogy for pharma to a relay race, a bit like Bernd with soccer. The relay race being that clinical affairs teams kick off the race, they hand it on to medical, who in turn hand it on to marketing and sales. So it's vitally important that we all work together to shape our molecules and build brands for the future. I'm here with colleagues from medical, clinical, and commercial, and we're going to challenge the assumptions today and provide you with some real-life examples along the way. So firstly, can medical really pat themselves on the back with the insights they bring? And are they really using AI to its full potential? So next you'll need your phones because we're going to go to a Slido. I want to hear from the audience to start with. So the question is, in your eyes, how are medical and clinical teams in your company performing when it comes to the impact of the insights they're reporting? Interesting.
Do you have the elevator music? Did you? Yeah. No elevator music? I only know Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet's back.
All right. So, panel. 4% said excellent. So, we can't really pat ourselves on the back so far. A little bit vanilla, okay. So, what do we think? John, over to you.
Yeah, look, I'm not so surprised by that. And before I start, maybe I'll just throw a disclaimer. The views, the examples I provide to you are based on my experience working in a number of companies, speaking and listening to people at MAPA. So please don't shoot me, please don't fire me. That's my blanket disclaimer, not to lose my job. But with that out of the way, I'm not surprised. I also think, okay, and I see it as four posts, right? I've spent a lot of money and time educating teams about what is an insight, where does my insight go, what's the difference between an insight and interaction. A lot of time there, way too much time. The next pillar was really about presentation and communication of those insights, presenting to the executive team, actually getting their buy-in. I think Nat McNeil made a great point that we sometimes hold back great insights and we need to speak up. The third one is the actioning of insights. Now that's more of I've seen the top tier companies, they have a really good systematic approach to try and actually provide the action of the impact of the insight and showcase the impact of the insight. And then just recently, Nikki touched on something I call the El Dorado moment, which is the consolidation of all the insights through the whispers from medical affairs, from sales, from medical information, overlay that with international conference signals coming through. With all the CRMs, you can put in perhaps an AI agent to try and understand and bring that pattern, but that would validate the insights and would stop, taking us a bit of a hunch on these whispers and something that's a little bit more concrete. So that's the four different pillars. And I think that for the mid-tier companies, we're sort of stuck at communicating our insights. Some of the top-tier companies are doing quite well actioning insights. That's my thought. But Aneta, maybe throwing to you, what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think from also putting a bit more commercial lens on that, I think, to be honest, we are on the journey, right? The journey full of opportunities, but we are not yet there. And I think when we think about AI, that's where the opportunity of collaboration can even be stronger. So I think right now we are living in the world, and many organizations are having the fragmented data landscape, and the insights from development, clinical, medical, and commercial are not yet there to actually mine towards and having this unbiased and most insightful conversation, and we are more reactive rather than proactive based on information we have. So just sharing some of the examples, again, more from the experience and my own views. I think we need to start from the basics, and that's what we did 2 years ago, at least when I was in the global function. And we started to understand, from the frustration, coming from the frustration where we couldn't find the market research we were searching for. We checked days, hours to find the person who was having some data that we wanted to actually analyze. And then what came up is just, let's do a simple library of documents that we have in the company, from market research, value dossier, to TPPs and other information we have around this therapeutic area. And while it was not such an important project at the start, it actually bring a lot of value going forward, because now with AI, we could put an AI agent on top of it, right? And now with the simple questions, we can answer we can give our many answers to the questions we have across the globe. So it's many associates, like 10,000 plus, are actually reaching out and getting the information with the places that they already before wouldn't be able to get that information. So it's faster and more clear. And when I think about what you were saying, John, I think the information or the data that we have on the country level are immense. And we don't even know, we don't use maybe 30, 40% of those data just now, right? So I think maybe we use it, but we use it also in silos. So the question is how we can combine and bring more a holistic view, right, from end to end to the customer, thinking about what our customer really wants. They want, one voice, one feedback, and so on. So how we can respond better. And I think that was Simon was saying previously on the previous session is it's important to think, how we actually get organized also internally so that we are stronger and more impactful externally. So back to your questions, how are the team performing? I think the ones who are moving from data to actionable insights and decisions, they are performing better and faster. But the ones who are not yet there, and maybe the usage of AI and so on is not at strongest, that's most probably where we need to work on.
Didn't think it'd take us long to get to AI. Okay, so as we shift to that, panel, why do you think medical and clinical have adopted AI so quickly? And what have been some of the key achievements to date that you've seen in medical and clinical teams? Kyren?
Yeah, thanks, Robin. So John and Aneta gave some fantastic examples of how fragmented our approach is really with insights. And I think many companies now, we're stuck on that ChatGPT loop, right? We all use, I think most of us use ChatGPT in some way or another, with a focus on boosting productivity. And I think with AI, there's a real potential to enable that increase in value chain across the business. But we need to move away from just boosting productivity. I think Aneta mentioned AI agents. I think that's potentially where we're potentially going. But really, I want to share two examples where we're using AI to really gain insights rather than just analyze insights. So one is both of them are third-party organizations that are driven and try to enable pharmaceutical and also other companies to really push the boundary of what is possible. One is a company that essentially you can build a virtual or artificial advisory board or a steering committee, and you can really interrogate some questions that you would do in an advisory board or a steering committee. You can set up the profiles in a way that you have your customer segments, and then you can start to have these conversations and then validate it. The other opportunity that I want to share with you is an organization that we've been working with, and it's mind-blowing. I've been really surprised at the potential there, is really to build an avatar of a customer. So you can now start talking to that avatar, and it learns, and then you can go back and start having conversation. The key there and the aim is to be able to convince them enough to whatever you want to convince them for, whether to sell a product, convince them to gain traction on your disease area, your way of thinking, and so on and so forth. So really, moving away from just simply boosting productivity and moving to potentially gaining new insights from what is possible is something that I'd like to challenge you all to how we can use AI.
Yeah.
John, over to you.
Yeah, so Robin, you sort of mentioned that why have medical and clinical started to pick it up? And we start to see a few examples. And I wouldn't say that we are more curious than other functions. I've seen incredible curiosity from your function, you know. And business excellence in Novartis has also led the charge with AI. And so we can't take the credit there. But I think with medical affairs, there's a few things. We are the custodians of a lot of data sets. We own them. We can play around with them. Low-hanging fruit, we've always been quite process heavy, and AI gives us a chance to sort of cut through that. So why not do it? I often joke that sometimes I'm curious and lazy, and so I'll naturally gravitate towards AI. And then just the burden of synthesizing so much data with papers. You know, you can just pump it into Copilot, ChatGPT to give you a bit of a summary. So it sort of lends itself to medical affairs and clinical, but we are by no means the only leaders there. Sort of the theme is we are the co-leaders, perhaps. But just to rattle off a few examples, which I think are pretty cool, just across companies I've seen, not just Novartis, but medical information, both internal and external. So Ask Emma was one, which is internal. External, there's been a few other companies that have jumped into that, which is really brave. Promo Review, CodeBuddy, AI statistically powered analysis into real-world evidence for publications. Shout out to Anchit Khanna for leading the charge there. From a clinical perspective, I asked my colleagues, there's not been a lot of movement in that front, but they're using this to understand their protocols better, so from an efficiency point of view. But interestingly, it's the external sites. There's been a lot of work done in institutions for trying to speed up patient recruitment, using machine learning to find new patients. And that's really where, if you think about all the data, as Arthur talked about, it's really owned by them. They have the power, and that's where I think we should be really partnering up with these institutions, as opposed to fighting them on that. So those are just examples.
Thank you. So as we go to the future here now, and I'd be interested to know from your side, what are the challenges that medical affairs and clinical teams may face when dealing with AI and insights in general? And then, John, you picked on it a little bit, that the low-hanging fruit that medical and clinical teams can lean into to maximize straight away. Maybe who's going to pick that up?
I can pick up the second one on the low-hanging fruits. I actually love that question because there is so many opportunities that we can start actually even tomorrow to do. And I think it's all starts with us as leaders, right? So many of the people here raise the hands that we are using AI. So how we can actually make that adoption 100% adoption in our company, foster this curiosity within the team so that they are understanding the why, they are understanding that there is actually a movement towards that and that can help their daily work. Other thing is about thinking about the governance and building the right environment for our teams. And one side is the governance from the compliance and privacy perspective and having the secure platforms. But the other thing is also enabling that in terms of exchanges, creating that curiosity in terms of organizing meetings, craniums, sharing the stories, right? Because those stories are so powerful, and that's for us what really worked well, right? So it's even associates to associate that they're sharing where they are using and how they are using. It's extremely powerful. And then thinking about the third one, it's around using it every day and very simple activity. So usage AI is like, thinking about how to ride a bike, right? The wobbling at the start, but then you see a lot of actually value in that and you enjoy it. So I think this is like simple things to actually building on from, right? So that's what we did. And now we have many people in the organization that actually build the agents. And now Arthur also agent of the agents, right? So that's we really have a lot of curiosity there, learning from each other, and that's how we foster. And the last one was probably the low-hanging fruits I would mention is about focusing on where the pain points are. So thinking about, what can we do with MRR approvals, how we can speed up those processes, how we can connect the data. There are many different suites of the AI that can help us to analyze the data, correlate those data, and combine the insights and simple things, competitive intelligence, publicly available information, to summarize that there are so many opportunities right now that we can already start really tomorrow. John, hand over to you.
Yeah, of course. And jumping to the first part, the barriers, I have to say that, I sometimes activate my reptilian part of my brain, as quoting Sarah, my brainstem, and compliance always comes in. Like, oh, are we okay? Can we do this and whatnot? And so that is always going to be there. Data privacy, compliance, the governance structures around that. And I think going back to perhaps the last session of yesterday, Sumi mentioned, and I think it was another person as well, we need to have our general managers lean into this. If they show that they're interested and they have a team of data privacy, compliance, legal, PV, medical affairs, it sets up the environment for us to play in. We feel comfortable. It gives us a safe space. And that's just it. The other thing is we need to, I think we're past the theory. I think we need hackathons, more and more hackathons. We need to play, get dirty. And I quote something that I think it was Charlie Munger who said, show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. If we can link a small incentive to the best ideas coming from regulatory, from legal, my God, you'll see some amazing examples.
All right, so let's keep going in the future. And what will medical affairs clinical teams really need to improve on to truly lead in AI? 1 minute, Kyren.
Okay, I've got 1 minute. So let me tell you, I spent a decade in academia, and toward the end of that, there was a really cool technique that I was using called single-cell RNA-seq. So we essentially took a tumor biopsy and minced it up enough to a cell level, and then put it into a machine, and it was able to tell us at a cellular level what's the different architecture of the transcriptome. So and really spend evenings and weekends with a bioinformatician, a computational bioinformatician who was in the lab, to really digest the data. And we were able to find out real green shoots that we were able to then take to the lab and validate, and that was really exciting. So I think if I would leave you with one thing across medical affairs, across the entire industry, is partnership. I think someone mentioned it earlier, and collaboration. Collaborate with your data analytics team and really try and work out how you can best leverage them to really capture some of these insights coming through, and how you can utilize them in your own work.
John, 20 seconds.
Get your medical director on board, establish the guardrails, get dirty. Aneta, sorry.
Definitely start with that, but then add on to that, I would say get dirty for sure. So daily usage is something that, what we talked about today, marginal gains, I think that's something what we should do every day, something more, learning, curiosity, and storytelling. Like share this, what you learned, share with your colleagues, and share with the organization, and then we can grow together.
All right. Thank you, panel. Audience, we have a question for you. Let's finish on this. So what do these teams need to do to improve on to be innovative leaders of AI? Open text, so whatever you think, let's see what you capture, because this is an action that we can take away with. Needs a bit of thinking, this one, doesn't it? It's not just a score out of 10.
Arthur, I know that's you.
Was it?
While you're typing, you can read as well. So be courage, experiment, incentivize ideas. Yep. More do, freedom, be willing to fail. Yep. Third-party partnerships, great. Yep. Experiment. So we're seeing it's a bit of a journey. We're seeing it's a bit of an experimental situation, having a go, being curious. I think that's the take-home message here from our panel here as well, is to really have a play. Yep. Really just get in and, as John says, get in and get dirty and do it. So thanks very much. Thanks, panel. And thanks, audience.